Moving through, the 40s, 50s, 60s, and into the 80s, the standards around fluoride, you were able to depose one of the experts, one of the specialists at the NSF, the National Sanitation Foundation. And just to give people, like a fly on the wall view of what you were looking at and how you were speaking to these people in court, we have a video of this, and we're talking about the safety standards of fluoride. Let's take a look.
So I'm moving now to topic 7 of the deposition notice, which reads, what NSF has done, if anything, to determine the potential for fluoridation chemicals to cause neurotoxic effects. So let me ask you, has NSF taken any steps to determine the potential for fluoridation chemicals to cause neurotoxic effects?
No.
Does NSF have any position on whether fluoridation chemicals can cause neurotoxic effects?
Since we have not conducted our own risk assessment on the fluoridation chemicals, we do not have a position on whether they are able to cause neurotoxic effects.
Okay. Has NSF taken any steps to determine the upper tolerable daily dose of fluoride that will not cause neurotoxic effects in humans?
We have not.
Does the NSF have a position on what the upper tolerable daily dose of fluoride that will not cause neurotoxic effects is?
Since we have not conducted risk assessments on any of the fluoridation chemicals, we do not have a position on the daily dose that would be appropriate to prevent or to reduce the risk for neurotoxic effects from fluoride exposure.
Now, she was from the NSF, and that's kind of like a company it's a company, it's something outside of the government. This is something that regulates these chemicals in things like water. So did you find that astonishing when she answered like that?
Well, I didn't find it astonishing. It's what I expected, but it was good to have it confirmed. The NSF is a private organization that certifies the chemicals that are added to drinking water. Mm-hmm. EPA delegated that authority to them in the 1980s. But I asked those same questions to the EPA, to the CDC, and to the FDA, as well as to the 3 major companies in this country that sell fluoridation chemicals to water municipalities for fluoridation. I asked all of them, can you point me to any study that shows that adding fluoridation chemicals to drinking water is safe for the brain? Okay, just one. I wasn't asking for hundreds. I was just asking for one. And every one of those organizations came back and said, we are not aware of any safety data on that point. And to put that in perspective, in local debates on fluoridation, the proponents of this practice will often say, there's thousands of studies,
yeah,
thousands of studies that show that the fluoridation is safe, right? And here I had the opportunity, under penalty of perjury, to ask these organizations, I'm not asking you for thousands of studies. Can you point me to one study on this particular issue of the effects on the brain, neurological effects? Can you point me to any study that shows that water fluoridation is safe? And every single one of those organizations came back and said, no.
Wow, this reminds me, for our audience, they'll probably remember this. Can you show me a vaxxed versus unvaxxed study of chronic illness in children? The robust data, they really can't produce those. Let's talk about the EPA, because you sat down with Dr. Joyce Donohue. You didn't sit down with her, you deposed her. And you were kind of asking the same questions about these safety standards. Surely the EPA, a top scientist at the EPA, would have some answer for you if a private company didn't. Here's what she had to say.
You would agree that this study right here adds further reason why we need to do a reassessment of the fluoride safety standards in the United States?
I think it's a reason for doing not just the United States. I think it's a reason for doing an update to the fluoride assessment.
Everywhere.
Well, for anybody who's interested in fluoride and the need for regulation of fluoride exposure.
Right, and anyone interested in making sure that fluoride is safe for consumption.
That people are not overexposed. Yes.
Right, okay.
So obviously this is a problem now where you're picking up rocks and you're saying, well, does someone have an answer for me here? Because I'm really concerned. We have a lot of data showing this is hurting children, it's lowering their IQ, but no one seems to give me have a standard anywhere I can find.
Right, and so what I did there with Dr. Donahue is I showed her some of the new studies on IQ, some of the birth cohort studies, high quality studies funded by the NIH, which have found that prenatal fluoride exposure is significantly correlated with reductions in IQ. I showed her those studies and she agreed that they're high quality studies and that they warrant a reassessment of all of the safety standards that we now have for fluoride. So, the court took note of that testimony and found it significant.